Hello, everyone. When it is this time, it is the Mindset Sport. And today, welcome to another episode of our conversation with my co host, Daniel Afumbom, which today we're going to be talking about African football, celebrating the unity and passion it brings. Afu, how are you?
I'm great. It's very exciting to talk about this topic. I think the last time we talked about something similar was during the World Cup in Qatar when Cameroon beat Brazil, the first ever African country to ever beat the Latin American powerhouse. But now we're talking about something more in-house, the 2023 African Cup of Nations hosted by Total Energy, and two teams, the Nigerian Eagles and the Ivorian Elephants, tomorrow 3 p.m. Eastern Time are going to fight to see who is going to be the champions of the continent.
Absolutely. And indeed, as you rightly said, today we are diving into the heart of African football, celebrating the unity, celebrating the passion it brings, especially highlighted by the ongoing African Cup of Nations. And football in Africa is not just a game, it is a vibrant tapestry of culture, of unity, and potential. And therefore, as we understand, football has the power to bring people together. We've seen it and we are seeing it like nothing else. It's a language of its own, understood by millions across the entire African continent. The 1.4 billion Africans today understand the language of football. As Nelson Mandela once said, sport has the power to change the world, and it is the power of sports that can be leveraged to inspire. It has the power to unite people. It has the power to do so in a way that little else can do. So today, let's explore how this beautiful game can be a catalyst for development in the African continent and even the world, especially for the young people. So, Afu, let's dive into the first question, which is knowing what we know and haven't seen, as you rightly said, two teams have qualified. Actually, DRC and South Africa at 8 p.m. East African time will be taking on the to the pitch, taking DRC taking on South Africa to scramble for the third place, and tomorrow Ivory Coast and Nigeria are scrambling for the cup. But the point is, how can the passion we have seen for football in Africa be leveraged by young people to drive development, especially in the communities? Because we see passion that people cry when their team gets knocked out or they lose. What says you?
Yeah, that's a really interesting point because as we've seen so far, even by the way people dress to come to the stadium, we see
Right.
people in green, white, green on their face, or
Oh, green, red,
orange.
yellow.
Yeah, green, red, yellow with a star in the middle of their nose, right? So we see the amount of passion people have for soccer, which is awesome, and it brings a community of Africans together. And I think that's amazing. But what we need to focus on is how we can use this unity to spread issues about other topics, such as sustainability, such as building our communities. And if we could keep this same passion for football or soccer, then we can try to recreate it in other aspects because whether we like it or not, African Cup of Nations is every other year. However, our problem that we face daily. So, in order for us to go all out for AFCON, I think that we should first start by having the same passion to fix our community problem, so that when it's time for AFCON, we have more to be proud about.
I think you've brought up some very important aspects, and I think so. You brought up the word daily. That the problems we face daily. But football and especially Africa Cup of Nations comes every other year. But those problems still remain. And then you use the word recreate. Let's recreate the passion we have for football in our communities in the solution space. And I think these are very critical aspects that you brought up. And just to put perspective to those aspects, I think the passion for football can be leveraged to drive development by using it as a platform for education and social change. And I really wish that as people are streaming into the stadiums, that those billboards could be used to show solutions, to show youth being trained, to show environmental solutions, how waste is being turned to biogas, to biofertilizer, to briquettes, how young people in communities are using waste to sew dresses. This would go a long way. So football tournaments and community leagues can be organized with themes that promote social issues like health, like education, like peace building. Can you imagine 1.4 billion people in Africa watching AFCON. It means that, for instance, during matches, we can have educational sessions on various development issues, on topics such as those that I mentioned, and use part of the proceeds from football events, right, to support local schools or health clinics. This approach will not only bring communities together, but also address pressing societal issues. Because let's not forget, alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much. This was said by Helen Keller. And this quote is meaning that if we use football that brings us together, we can do so much. What says you, Afo?
Yeah, I 100% agree because, for example, during halftime, we could even be putting on a screen like videos about societal issues that many Africans face. And even the proceeds going from this, they can go toward charitable causes. But I think that what it comes down to is the individual, because with one of us just saying this, it's not going to go anywhere. But if all of us come to a consensus and agree, then we're definitely going to see change. So I think that instead of, yeah, soccer is great, amazing, because it is, we can start to branch out about other ideas. Hey, yeah, this is great, but we need to be self-aware and understand that this happiness only comes every other year, but our challenges we face daily. And in order for us to mitigate these challenges, we must have that same passion we have to wear our flag's colors, but we should um, use that within a sense to create tangible ideas to solve the challenges that community members across the continent and communities face.
Very good points, Afo. Very good points. And so now the point whereby, with all this that we know and the way you've put it, with youth at the center of our discussion, what initiatives can be introduced? And I know you've touched this a little bit, to ensure football contributes positively to youth development and community development, given the fact that this is the language that unites people. Football, football, football.
Yeah, so I think that's a really good point because uh, that's the main way to influence people, because we had to talk about influencers, but I think that soccer players are influencers and they could use their title and their like status as influencers to influence things that really go on. And in America, for example, like American football, some players have been doing this, but within the African context, they can talk about things that are more related to Africa. And for example, let's say there's like a water issue, they could raise awareness to that during halftime. They can talk about sustainability, cutting down trees. So I think even just by like at halftime, maybe a video showing about the issues that are being faced and the things that are they're doing to solve it, because we need to move away from the problem mentality and move towards a solution set mindset, because we know that we have these problems, and by having these problems being shared, that's great, but we cannot have it just being shared without potential solutions also being offered.
Very important point. I like that. We know we can share solutions. Therefore, creating football academies also that focus on both sports and academic excellence is crucial, where those
Yeah.
aspects can be taught. So these academies can also offer scholarships to talented individuals, providing them with the opportunity to grow their skills on the field while ensuring they receive a quality education. But at the same time, also problems that Africa faces in health, education, sanitation, to unemployment. This means that leveraging this stardomship of players, they can actually, in Cote d'Ivoire, I think it was in the early 2000s, where Drogba used his stardom to end civil war in his own country. That then means that mentorship programs with these academics can help, and with this stardom of footballers, can help shape the character of young people and also young athletes who look up to them, teaching them valuable lessons, attitude lessons, behavior lessons, and even skills such as teamwork, leadership, and discipline. Because let's not forget, the function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. Martin Luther King Jr. once said this. And therefore, if we do not teach, we do not guide, we do not mentor, then definitely the youthful generation will not have a right track. And sports provides that opportunity to do so. Yes, Afu, what says you?
Yeah, that's an excellent point, and I think that I've been seeing this a lot, not necessarily in soccer, but in other sports. Like for example, Pascal Siakam, he's a Cameroonian basketball player. He used to play for the Toronto Raptors, a Canadian-based basketball team. Now he plays for the Indiana Pacers. But my point is that he was passionate about education, and he donated like a bunch of like coding and computer equipment to help kids in rural areas of like Cameroon and Central Africa learn how to code. And even within the communities he played basketball in, he really tried to focus on education and provide STEM-based education so that kids, even if they are passionate about sport, they still developed an education which would be applicable to real-world challenges, which is like science, technology, engineering, and math.
Right,
So with that example, I just wanted to bring that up because um, we've seen real life tangible examples of this, and a lot of athletes have foundations, so they can use those said foundations to empower the young people and empower the future generation of athletes and empower the future generation of
right.
supporters.
You have brought up the aspect of foundations, and these are being proliferated. Nearly every prominent athlete do have a foundation. Don't we think it's time to tailor those foundations to focus on youth mentorship and skills retooling? Because the reality is that societal uh, move today, or societal transformation today, is in the hands of the youth. Most of the people who are aging today might not be able to understand technology, yet the youth are tech savvy. Most of the challenges, if you take plastic waste that is being littered, that block run waterways and result to flooding, the people who can be able to take action to turn that waste into alternatives, they are young people. Do you think that the foundations, very important and appreciative to those who have foundations solving problems, could also be used as vehicles to drive youth transformation through skills retooling and innovative volunteerism abilities?
Yeah, 100%. Because when we look at it, we see these foundations, but some of them we don't really know what they're doing. So, for us to have tangible examples, for these foundations to have tangible examples of the work they're doing, then they could apply the concept of innovative volunteerism by helping youth retool their skills to be better contributing member to their community. And whether that skill is soccer, whether that skill is learning how to be a bricklayer, skills that will benefit their community and help solve challenges. Because as we know, soccer is a career that once you're like 30, 35, you get injured. And it's a very competitive career as well. Not many people make it there. And just because you have a passion and you're really good doesn't mean that you're going to stay good forever. So we need to have skills that don't only help, like these foundations don't only help them achieve athletically, but also help them achieve within their community and academically so that they can be well-rounded individuals in whatever path they go down, which I think is something that we need to focus on, not only as foundation, but in the way that we nurture our future generations to focus on different aspects.
Yes, we do appreciate anybody who comes up with an initiative to turn challenges to opportunities. And for the athletes and sportsmen and women who have foundations that are touching lives, we applaud you. Keep doing it.
Yeah.
But we think that there needs to be a kind of a reimagination of what Africa's development needs today, which is to be able to empower people by teaching them how to fish, not giving them fish always, because that then create dependency, and we know the outcome of dependency. So what we would say, as we are discussing here, is that leveraging your foundations to build the capacity of young people through skills retooling, retooling their skills to turn environmental challenges, waste to briquettes, waste to biogas, waste to biofertilizer, sewing, apparel development from waste, teaching them how they can be able to become using their skills, even in bricklaying, learning how to be able to use plastic blocks to focus on pavement tiles that are made of plastic, to ensure that at least they can be able to do something that takes the societal challenge from being a challenge into an opportunity that can create more opportunities for people, to ensure that at least tree planting and less tree cutting, sensitizing people to understand that the challenges we face as a community and as a continent and even country are not beyond us, and we should not fend under them, is what we think can happen. But that said, kudos to all of you who are doing something to turn challenges in communities. And we appreciate our sportsmen and women, but we think we just need to step up. And stepping up is not a problem, it's an opportunity to do more. Afu, let's get to a very important aspect now, which is rhetoric. Rhetoric, when it comes to sports, out of passion, sometimes get out of control. Yet, it's something that needs to be carefully handled, because when other teams lose, of course, they feel bad about it and they feel angry. When other teams win, they use it as bragging rights to talk down on others. Of course, in the sportsmanship spirit, to them, it's just sport. But some people take this personally. So my question then is, how can we ensure that the rhetoric around football remains positive and unifying, especially in this digital age? Over.
Yeah, so I think that every single innovative volunteerism talk we've done relates back to digital footprint, because when we look at it, we know that what this is the common thing. If you've watched this video or any other video we've done, we know that what you put on the internet stays on the internet. Like, for example, in the next 20 years, I'm probably going to look back and this is going to be on the internet, right? So that relates to the sense that if your team loses, although it may be heartbreaking for you, there's no need to take it out on other teams and other players, which were just doing their job, right? That's like saying because the cashier at a fast food restaurant gets your order wrong, that means you're going to insult them. No. So I think that a lot of people need to understand that what is on the internet stays on the internet, and to be positive, because soccer and sports in general is supposed to be a way to uplift the communities around us and uplift Africa as a whole. And we cannot be disrupting that positive vibes by negative energy solely because our team lost.
That's a good point. And the reality is that if you look at a passion around sports and especially football, I don't think I've seen any passion in the continent, even across the world. Let's take Africa continent, that surpasses football passion. And it's gone to a point where, of course, apart from the economic sense that it makes to others, like betting and etc., there is also the bragging rights aspect, where a country, especially the citizens, use it to downplay other citizens. That's okay, but it is not also okay. So the question then becomes, with now social media, as you've rightly put it, which is a space, well, others call it free space, others call it free space for communication, and they can say anything because there is no regulation. But yet, as you've said, what is said on the internet stays on the internet. Even if you delete it, you can always be traced, which is called a digital footprint tracer. What then could we do? And I know we're trying to do the same here by saying, mind what you say and tune down your rhetoric. Those who listen should listen, and those who are not listening seems not to be listening. Do you think it's high time that even during sports sessions, because I'm talking about this, Africa is a continent that have a lot of talent in every aspect, in every domain, from sports to education to health to environment. Africa have got it all, and we have to speak to on this. There is talent to music and entertainment industry, to culture, to every aspect, to hospitality, to everything, engineering, law, legal. Africa have got it all. But there seems to be a missing link, especially during a game like this, that others still talk down on others, especially when they lose or win. What advice can you give in few words to our young people?
Well, I think in a few words, keep soccer soccer. Like, let's keep football football. Let's keep it to two teams with 11 players trying to see who can score the most time in 90 minutes, right? Let's keep soccer soccer. Let's not add politics. Let's not add issues that don't need to be brought up. Let's not add petty differences we have against each other. Let's keep soccer soccer, about unity and about togetherness within sports. For
Excellent.
example, like within the Nigeria South Africa game, people were bringing up issues that didn't even have to be there. Like, for example, they're talking about the Grammys. Like, what if the Grammys have to do with soccer, right? So we should just keep soccer soccer, and the only things that we should be talking about through soccer are ways to develop our communities and bring each other up rather than trying to bring each other down.
Very good point, because the reality is that promoting positive dialogue, right, in online communities and social media is key. And as you rightly said, media outlets, influencers, and football associations should focus on narratives that highlight the unifying aspects of the game, not the divisiveness of the rhetoric that we see. So campaigns that celebrate diversity, that celebrate sportsmanship, and the success stories of African football can inspire positive conversations. But I think what is even more important is that engaging fans in initiatives that contribute to societal development can help shift the focus from divisive rhetoric to constructive and unifying dialogue. Well, I think there is a big missing opportunity here. Yes, football is used for betting, but how many people do bet? The reality is that how do we think about that son and daughter at the community level? Who is there disenfranchised, do not have access to any opportunity, jobless, but are yet understand that there is football and focuses on it? What if he or she had an opportunity out of football just to get inspired and know that she can learn a skill to turn her life from where she is to move her forward? We keep missing opportunities. And I'm saying this because tomorrow we have a big game. And the rhetoric that is going to emerge out of that, regardless of who wins, is going to be very hot. So we're using today to say, pipe it down, right? Pipe down your rhetoric. Inspire. We are one family, one African continent. Everybody winning should be a winning for each and every one of us. And therefore, we should celebrate others' victories so that when our turn comes, we can also be celebrated. What says you, Afu?
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think that's really important because with soccer and with other sports, people think that it's either you go down sports or you go down academics, but you can go down both. And I think the point you mentioned about like 10 minutes earlier about academies also focusing on education as well would be very beneficial for this because when we see who wins, who loses, like even not only within Africa, even during like the Euro Cup a few years back, when teams win, when teams lose, it's the same people, even from the same country, who are insulting the players. And just, I think we just need to understand the concept of digital footprint as well as they're also humans too. Like the people who are playing soccer are not robots. Like it's not AI playing soccer, it's not chat playing soccer, right? So we need to understand these are humans with real feelings and who train and do their best and they bring it all to the pitch. And if they win, they win. If they don't, they don't. One team's gonna win, one team's gonna lose, and it's the team that's gonna win isn't always gonna be your team of choice. So by understanding this, we can understand how they're feeling and how we're feeling and know how to regulate those feelings without embarrassing ourselves on the internet.
That's a very important point. Yes, David Shakia. I'm David Siakia, following from Moros Farm Community, Liberia. Welcome, David. Harris, great talk. You says Harris, following from Monrovia, Liberia. We have Simie Oloke. We have Neton, who is watching from Liberia as well. We have Rundi Miki. He said amazing and innovative ideas. We have Tebo Sidrik watching from Cameroon. And we have Rudy, who says that, for instance, we definitely need a mindset shift. Yes, we need a mindset shift. Very, very well said. We have Celine Quenti, we have Aaron Mugu, who is watching from Zambia. So it's the entire African continent watching. And I think Rudy is saying that if only we can adopt positive criticism, so we'll go a long way to help. And Rudy's a powerful response there, Daniel. Then we have Vichin Hillary. We said that all this is because of Africans and don't know themselves, and I blame leadership. Well, as you said, but before you come in, I think Rudy talking about positive criticism. The reality is that there is really nothing to me called positive criticisms. I would rather call it constructive narratives. Why I use the word constructive narratives is from the perspective that in every human being who does wrong or right, he or she have something good to offer. And if we start to see from that perspective and say, yes, you are very intelligent, you are sharp, but the way you are going is not right, and this is the way to go. That to me is not even criticisms, is constructive guidance. And constructive guidance and destructive guidance do exist, and destructive guidance is actually what have made young people today misdirection. I hope I had mentorship when I was growing up to be guided. I would have even been more exceptional today. But there's nothing wrong to tell people this is wrong that you are doing, but this is the way to go, and push that person to go that direction. That to me, I'm saying this because the word criticisms have been misconstrued and sometimes used to chastise and belittle and sometimes even demoralize young people. And so what you're saying, Mickey, that's correct, but I just thought, let me bring in this aspect that let's use constructive narratives to be able to push others to move forward. Because anything that makes someone to retrogress is neither criticisms, it is destructive narratives. And so constructive narrative propel others forward. And I just thought I should be able to bring this about the aspect of, I think Hillary, you were saying that all this is because Africans don't know themselves. Africans do know themselves. What I think is happening is that they forget themselves most of the time, not that they don't know themselves, and then get engulfed into things that tear them down without them knowing that they tear them down. What is wrong with a country that you come from losing to a country that played better? It just means you are reminded that you have to work harder next time and play better, right? Sometimes, yes, football is a game of luck, but preparation, steadfastness, and execution of a game plan is key. Yes, luck will come into it, but if you don't play excellently, the chances that you're going to lose will be very, very high. But if you play excellently and lose, sometimes I hear words which are also good that though you lose, you won our hearts. That's excellent. It means they gave their best, and they did. So those are constructive narratives rather than saying, oh, we won, oh, we are bigger than everybody. I think those kind of rhetorical statements are actually what I call statements that degenerate into things that are not important. And so what we're trying to do here is just to say, let's be positive, tone down our rhetoric, and if you lose, another day you will win. And if others win, celebrate with them. But at the end of the day, we're all winners in all these AFCON. Now the point from, I think, Dukule, following from Monrovia, Liberia, and I think Mickey said definitely celebrating others create a platform for others to celebrate others. Emotions can arise, but channel them towards. I love that. Thank you so much, Mickey. And
Excellent
learning.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, he said constructive narrative. Yes, taken note. Thanks. Yes, that is, we all learn every day, Mickey, and thanks a lot for bringing that in. Please, if you want to join in, I did share a link. If you want to join in and contribute, please, you can join the link and contribute. Yes, Afu, over to you.
Yeah, so I think a point that we need to mention that I don't think we've mentioned so far is the concept of the underdogs. We had
Right.
Cape Verde, a little island off the coast of Senegal, and Equatorial Guinea, just a little island off the coast of Cameroon. These two countries, even though they're not in these stages right now, showed us that even though you're small, you can still be mighty. And for example, Cape Verde beat a lot of powerhouses, and Equatorial Guinea, I don't know if they tied or they beat Nigeria in the group stages. So what we need to understand is that, and for example, Gambia and Cameroon almost tied. So, so we need to understand that just because we have this reputation doesn't mean that we can't stop working. For example, let's say you're the smartest in your class. That doesn't mean that you can't. Yes, you stop studying because somebody who you didn't even know existed could come and be top all of a sudden because they worked really hard. So I think this AFCON really showed that even if you're the king of kings, even if you have been winning AFCON for the past
Right.
3 sessions, that does not mean you're invincible. And even though we
Yes.
may be the indomitable lions, a small little team can really dominate us.
Afu, let me just jump in here. I think you brought up a very beautiful aspect, because in the beautiful game of football, right, what you are saying is that the story of the underdog is one that captures the imagination where they are, because that's why we're talking about it. And that then means that we need to be very, very appreciative of the fact that each and everyone have got potential, that he or she can rise up to anything. And I think this is a very important story. So why I had to jump in here is that this narrative is particularly important in the context of African football. To those teams that think they are the powerhouse, please watch out. Equatorial Guinea, Cape Verde showed their prowess during this AFCON tournament, right? Where they actually showed, they brought their A game, and they showed us this time that passion, determination, and teamwork can defy expectations and challenge giants. Yeah, and if I'm going to get you to the aspect of giants, because if you look at Cape Verde, like you said, their story is inspiring, right? Cape Verde, a small island nation, they made strides in this AFCON, showcasing the immense talent and spirit that exists within smaller nations, as you said, which then means that their journey is a testament to what can be. Yes, and actually, when going up to almost the quarterfinals, it shows that with hard work, it's a testament, the spirit of hard work, unity, a deep love for the game. But despite having a smaller pool of players in this small island state, and even fewer resources compared to powerhouses. What Cape Verde did do was they actually, and their team, I think their team is called the Blue Sharks, right? I
Yes.
think they completed, I mean, the whole process earning respect and admiration. If you take Equatorial Guinea, the neighbor to Cameroon there, which is Equatorial Guinea's football story is another inspiring one, like you said. So if you look at it, with limited exposure on the global stage, yes, who knows about their football in the continent that much? They managed to pull off surprising victories, proving that in football, the size of the country don't matter. You see what I'm saying? The size of the country does not determine the size of its heart or the depth of its passion. Or the entire continent was jubilating when they were winning. So their success highlights the importance of investing in ourselves, in every kid, regardless of where that kid comes from, regardless of which language that kid speaks. So investing in everybody, nurturing homegrown talent, showing that with the right sport and infrastructure, diamonds in the rough can shine brightly on the world stage. There's another aspect of it that you did not mention, and I'd like to get to it. Ivory Coast comeback. They were
Yeah.
almost eliminated. The comeback of Ivory Coast. No, we cannot go without talking about it, right? Ivory
Like
Coast, on the
that, I was
other
not
hand,
expecting that. Like that was
yeah. I mean,
they had
they were
like
almost
they had
eliminated.
an athletic comeback. Like I was not expecting them, and now
Yeah,
they're in the
it
final.
was yeah, it's the pandemonium. We call it pandemonium, which is Ivory Coast on the other hand, right? They were a power, they are a powerhouse in African football, but even powerhouses face setbacks. So that's another lesson that no matter how big and strong you think you are, one day you will face setbacks. But this case was unique because the ability to regroup, right, strategize, and come back stronger after defeat is a lesson in resilience and perseverance. I've never seen something like that in African football. And this is a reminder, and I think it's a reminder that success is not just about winning, but about how you bounce back from losses, about how you learn from your mistakes, about how you continue to push forward with determination. And so the lessons we learn from this, Afu, is one, the first lesson that I think is very, very important is believe in possibilities. The journey of Cape Verde, right? Of Cape Verde and Equatorial Guinea reminds us that in football and in life, anything is possible with belief, hard work, and perseverance. The second thing that we learned was unity and team spirit. You cannot win international competitive games if you people are not united and have team spirit. These stories underscore the importance of unity, teamwork. So success is a team achievement, and every member plays a crucial role, right? You see the midfield working, you see the wingers working, the defense working, the strikers working. And then the other aspect that I saw from Cote d'Ivoire, and I'll keep saying this, the comeback that Cote d'Ivoire display, it's something for the history books. What Cote d'Ivoire comeback story teaches us the power of resilience. Never give up. Never say never, right? Is that never say die? As we were growing up in school, they used to say never say die. That one was just a slang to say you can come back, right? They showed that setbacks can be stepping stones to greater achievements. And today they're in the finals. Look at this. Great achievement if we maintain our focus. And the last aspect is we must invest in our youth. If you look at the story of the investment in grassroots, the story of an underdog you brought up. So the success of these underdog teams, which you mentioned, highlight the need for investment in grassroots football to uncover and nurture talent that can compete on global stage. So the story of Cape Verde, of Equatorial Guinea, of the comeback of Ivory Coast are not just about sports. They're metaphors for life. Okay, are you listening? They're metaphor for life, teaching us about the power of comeback, the importance of never giving up, the incredible achievement that can come from unity, from hard work, from passion, the incredible achievement that can come from belief in oneself and one's team. And these stories inspire us to strive for our goals, no matter the odds. Remind us that greatness can come from the most unexpected places. Over to you, Afu.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And like you said, the comeback of Cote d'Ivoire was something that was very spectacular because we can use that in our daily life. Because even when we have setbacks, it doesn't matter how many times we fall; it matters how many times we get back up. And I think that Cote d'Ivoire really took that literally because they got beaten 4-0 by. I'm pretty sure they got beaten by Equatorial Guinea. I'm pretty sure, but they got beaten. But they realized that they will not let that get to them. They didn't get in their heads. They didn't have that defeated mentality. They chose to grow, shift things around, see what works, see what didn't, and from there they are now in the finals, and which is especially awesome because they're the ones hosting this Cup of Nations. So with this
Yeah, I think
about talk, we have a comment from Hillary, which says,
Hillary.
yeah, it said, Dr. Richard, if we really knew ourselves, we wouldn't give place to such narratives. Like Danielle said, a soccer match has nothing to do with the Grammys, and on Twitter you clearly see Nigerians fighting South Africans over something unrelated. And knowing how Nigerians behave, I I fear what will happen tomorrow if they lose the final. They may go on to chase Ivorian from their country. This thing is deep. I think you should answer that.
Yes. The truth is this: we need unity. To be very honest, we are one family. We one family. We one family. You know the song, Afu?
Yeah.
You know the song?
Yes.
One, sing it. Let's hear.
In one family, yeah. Like I don't really know it well, but like yeah.
Yeah, the point is that the entire African continent is a family, and I think if anybody uses rhetoric to talk down on another, it's actually misplaced, and somehow out of maybe not knowing they do that, and that's why we're discussing here today. I generally think this is the African Nations Cup that rotates around Africa. That any team winning should be Africa's pride, and any other team can win. We just talked about the underdogs here. Equatorial Guinea could have won this, Cape Verde could have won this. And the teams that did not perform well is also an opportunity for them to put their house in order. But I hear you. What I think is we need to then use our social media spaces, whether it is Twitter or Instagram, or it is TikTok or Facebook, to spread positive messages and pass these messages, because some of these young people who write and fight over the internet, because it is an open space of communication, may not know. So the more we start to push, we are one. And that winning in football, in basketball, winning awards is actually showcase of Africa's talented ability and resilience on any stage, global stage or continental stage. And that is a win for each and every one of us. So the point then is we must celebrate each other's achievements so that when our turn comes, we can also be celebrated. Yes, Afu, over to you.
Yeah, I like the point that you mentioned because you've mentioned this in previous interviews that if you have, for example, like youth should focus on what they're good at, and if that's athletics, then go for it. And I think that like that, like mentoring with grassroots, we can't only care about the national team because the people who play for these national teams had to start from somewhere, and we need to nurture these places where they initially start off, because even though it may not be bringing billions and billions of dollars just yet, the future is the youth, and we need to empower them first by through these training teams and clubs, and not only focus on the national team, focus on the teams all the way up. And also a few days ago it was the International Day for Women and Girls in Sports. And what do you have to say about that? Because we've been seeing strides with women's soccer and with the Olympics coming up this summer in Paris, and we saw last time teams really, the underdogs even, like last time in the Olympics, Sweden almost beat Canada, which Canada is known for women's soccer, but Sweden, who knew Sweden was that good? So we can also see the underdogs not only within men's soccer, but also within women's soccer as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, Afu. But before I go to that, I think Mickey is saying here that no monopoly of power over football wins. Yeah, he has a point. But you know, one of the things that we need to understand in Africa here is that the pride, football is one of the, and I started off by saying this from my own experience, growing up in the northwestern part of Cameroon, the small village of Jinquin. We used to listen to small radios when Cameroon was playing, either at African Nations Cup or during the World Cup. And you will see the shouting in the community when Cameroon scores. Roger Miller in the 1990 Italian 90s scoring a goal, Oman Big, Kanan Big, all those big names made people to feel happy. There is nothing that, I think, yes, other things unite people, but there is nothing as powerful that I've seen that unite Africans, both at national level and continental level, as compared to sports. And why I'm bringing up this point, Afu, before you get to the women's soccer aspect, is that during the World Cup, we see unity across the continent supporting African teams. I remember Ghana in the South African World Cup 2010, reaching the quarterfinals. The entire continent was behind them. And even when Cameroon won Brazil during the World Cup last year, the country was united in terms of the young people happy. The continent was united around it. So the point I'm trying to bring is sport is a rallying force that can bring people from different tribes, different political affiliations together. But the point is this, I think this is where Africa is missing the point. Instead of leveraging that to win and accept the winning in humility, they use it to chastise and instead open up more wounds. If I put salt into injury, right? That's what they say. You can't put salt into wounds and expect the people not to be shouting. It therefore means we must cultivate the attitude, like he's saying. Let's celebrate wins and appreciate the other teams we played with, even not there. Who would we have been playing with? So let's appreciate them and, of course, take the win and know that we can also lose next time. But without chastising and undermining anyone, that goes back. That, to your point, Afu, about female soccer, I think it's the same. We're seeing African women soccer, right? Has been on an upward trajectory. We know Ajara from Cameroon. We know Olushola. Is it Oshola in Nigeria?
Yeah.
Showcasing remarkable talent, resilience, and the breaking. There are a lot of them that are showing remarkable talent and the breaking of numerous barriers. Some of them play in talented teams, Barcelona. They play in big teams in Europe. But that's not the point. The point is that despite facing significant challenges, including limited access to resources, gender disparity, societal expectations, I think the global women and African women footballers have persevered, earning accolades both on international and continental stage. And this is encouraging. And so if you continue to encourage them and support them, I think they will not only be a powerhouse in the continent, but we will be promoting gender equality, which is very important, but also contribute to the development of sports as a whole. But what I think we need to do to encourage women's soccer is, first of all, increase investment. What do I mean by this? One of the most crucial steps in encouraging women's soccer, especially in Africa, is increasing investment in their sports. And this means more funding for women teams, improved training facilities, not just abandoning and expecting that they can perform magic even when they don't have training facilities, access to quality coaching. Coaching is another aspect that we'll get back to it. And the second is creating more platforms. If more tournaments and leagues are established specifically for women at both national and regional levels, it will provide both male and female athletes to then be able to have more opportunities to showcase their talent. Because one of the things people forget, the more you showcase your talent, the more opportunities are given to showcase. I can tell you that if you look at the players that are playing at the World Cup, at the African Nations Cup, a lot of them after this Nations Cup will have high bidding because of their performance. If you take Mwembali Stanley of Nigeria, the goalkeeper, he displayed amazing talent. If you take the guys of Equatorial Guinea and Cape Verde, amazing talent. The guys of South Africa, DRC, amazing talent. And that is good. So the more we see these talents, visibility from such platforms can inspire more young girls and boys to pursue football. The other aspect that I think we need to do to promote female football is promoting gender equality. It's important. Challenging the societal norms and promoting gender equality within the sports is essential. Because football has been dominated as a male sport, which is unfortunately not correct. So to promote gender equality and somehow shut down these societal norms that sometimes are ill-perceived, this involves advocating for equal pay, media coverage, opportunities for women in football, celebrating the achievement of women in soccer just like they do for men. And this can help change perceptions and encourage more girls and young women to engage in sports. The fourth is the most important one for me, which is education and career opportunities. So providing educational scholarships and career opportunities for women in football can also serve as a significant incentive. And this can mean programs that combine education with sports, ensuring that young women do not have to choose between their academic and athletics. And the last one is role models and mentorship. It goes back to what we said. Highlighting successful African female footballers as role models, and they should do this themselves. They should not be using their platforms to chastise on another or to bring nationalism. They should bring continentalism, Africanism, globalism, global understanding, and appreciate those who are doing their work, not just thinking tribe, national, and this can actually discourage a lot of people. So highlighting successful African female footballers as role models and establishing mentorship programs can motivate young girls. Seeing someone from a similar background achieve success in sports can be incredibly inspiring. Let me just end with this. It's not just female football that all these words I've said goes to male football. We should use our stories to inspire others. Because if we don't do, we cannot be successful, because success is about lifting others from the bottom of the pyramid. If you have knowledge and you're not sharing it with others to get it and be better, you would have failed. Over.
Yeah, excellent work. And I think that the point of mentorship and not having to pick between athletics and academics is a really big one, because a lot of people unfortunately have to make that choice.
Yeah, we have a few minutes to round up.
So I think that we need to, like you said, balance and pick, and not necessarily choose one, but learn how to balance our skills so that we can be well-rounded individuals. And before we round up, I just have one more question for you. How do you think that sports in general, you've mentioned a few skills and which it relates to, but how do you think an average African just watching this across the nation, one thing that you'd like them to take from this before we wrap up, and how sports can really influence, even if they're not playing on the pitch directly, the lessons learned can help them in their daily life?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have discussed most of these aspects, Afo. We have indicated that sports can unite. And through the aspects of sports, we have shown that the team spirit, the dedication, the resilience is what bring results. And so an average African who is watching this anywhere in the world should understand that without dedication, focus, passion, patience, and perseverance, you cannot succeed. Because at the end of the day, a team wins and we celebrate. But it's individual talent combined. It's individual talent. We cannot ignore the power of an individual talent. Because they train, yes, in a team, but they give their best based on their internal gravitas, the passion to do it. And so every time a team wins, we must appreciate the team, but also appreciate the individual talent in that team. And this is something that we miss a lot in Africa, to appreciate those who give their best. There are fighters in the field. If you watch the matches that have been played, you'll see people taking the match and giving their best. They play for their country. They play for their flags. They play for the continent. And so what the youth needs to learn is that for you to be successful and powerful on everything and become excellent on everything, you need to give your best. You cannot just sit and think that you will sing Florida or talk about how to go to Florida or to California. And the question is, what are you taking there, and what do you have in the first place? And what you have cannot just be enjoyment. It must be about you solving a problem in the community. And understand that no pain, you not have gain. No pain, no gain. And the last aspect that I think the young people should understand is that of attitude. You cannot win in football if you have a wrong attitude. It needs a lot of soberness. It needs a lot of following guidance from the coach. It needs a lot of flexibility. It needs a lot of support to your brothers who are also playing, to your sister who are also playing. It needs a lot of consideration and selflessness. Selfishness will not win again. You keep shooting aside, whereas somebody standing in front of a pool for you to give that ball to score. You don't, because of selfishness. And therefore, it becomes very, very dangerous if we do not cultivate these aspects. That's what I can say.
Yeah.
Yes, I can see Zambro. How are you? Welcome. Yes, Zambro. I think you went out. Yes, Afu. Round up.
Yeah, so this was an excellent talk. I really enjoyed it, and thank you guys all for watching. And I think that we've learned a lot from this talk, learning how we can leverage soccer, something that brings all of us together, to fight real world challenges and provide solutions for us And also, we've mentioned how the game of AFCON, seeing the underdog, seeing how we can arise from setbacks and make not only athletic comeback, but comeback within all areas of our life. We've learned that through this episode today. And I think that we should continue to strive and continue to grow so that our setbacks and being the underdog should not come as a challenge, but use it as an opportunity to achieve triumph. So as we round up today, I'd just like to say thanks for watching and keep on striving to be the best and use soccer not as a way to bring other people down, but as a way to uplift the African continent.
Amazing, amazing, Afu, amazing summary. This has been a very, very inspiring conversation. And as we come to the end, what I would like to say is to thank all those who have joined in and not only contributed, but have listened to what we have said. Because sports represents a multifaceted tool that transcends mere physical activity to become a catalyst for personal growth. And we are seeing even from the economic prosperity and social cohesion and development perspective. So from the inspiring journeys of football, African football teams, both men and women, to the broader impact of sport on health, we have discussed this today. And we believe that the narrative is clear. Sports have the power to transform lives. Sports have the power to transform communities and nations across Africa and the world. And so the discussion highlighted, as you must have heard, and for those of you who are joining in now, the importance of investment in grassroots sports, gender equality, and the empowerment of youth, showcasing sports as a means of bridge gaps, heal divisions, and inspire positive change. The story of the underdogs were also mentioned, as we've seen in this Africa Cup of Nations, where the resilience of women's soccer were also discussed and the potential of sport to drive economic prosperity. But as we reflect on the lessons of sports that sport teaches us, we understand that teamwork, resilience, discipline, and the joy of play are very important. So we are reminded of the words of the late great Nelson Mandela, who understood the profound impact of sport on humanity. And he said, sport has the power to change the world, and it has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people in a way that little else does. This is powerful because with what we know that sports can unite us, let's use it to unite ourselves wherever we are, to drive positive change, to appreciate those who win without getting derogatory, to tone down our rhetoric, because each and every one of us are citizens of the African continent. And if we can harness the power of sports as a vehicle for positive change, from governments to communities to individual citizens, then we'll make huge transformational development for our own selves as we drive and turn environmental challenges to opportunities. So by fostering an environment where sports can flourish, we can unlock the potential of our young people, of our youth. We can promote gender equality and build a foundation for peace and development that will benefit generations to come. So from our conversation today, let sport be the beacon that guides us towards a brighter and more fulfilled future. As the final comes tomorrow, let's tune down our rhetoric and inspire one another. May the best team win. Bye-bye.